everybody, Andrea here with Century 21 Tri-Cities, and I am joined with Chad with Prime Lending. We're going to do, for the month of February, we're going to go over the different types of loan type. So today we're going to go over the nuts and bolts of what it is to get pre-approved and what that looks like. So whether you're buying or selling, getting pre-approved, it's very similar, correct? What does that look like?
Well, in terms of buying a home, we're going to be, as a lender, we're going to be looking at supporting documentation, credit. We're going to look at the credit reports. We're going to look at your W-2s, your tax returns. We'll look at your earnings, whether you're salaried versus hourly, and or if you're self-employed. So those are kind of the basics that are going to go into a loan application itself, and we comprise all of that information. Then we figure out what the total qualifying income is going to be, and we look at the debts on the credit report, and we determine what amount we can qualify for.
Okay, perfect. So if we jump into to buyers first, and then we'll kind of get into sellers. A lot of buyers, first-time home buyers, are scared or of the unknown of getting pre-approved, and they're scared of hearing the word no.
Well, there's never an answer to, you never say no. You plot out a roadmap for every potential client. Now, some people it may be a month, some people 2 months, some people 6 months. A lot of folks are apprehensive because they're uncertain about what their credit score looks like, what their credit report is. They just have a lot of, I think a lot of folks are following Credit Karma and different credit apps that aren't necessarily what we follow. So when I pull a comprehensive credit report on a client, I'm going to look at where the credit scores actually fall and what they can actually do to increase those scores and give them time frames and plans in order to proceed. And I think that's the biggest apprehension of getting in front of a lender is just fear, and it shouldn't be fear.
And there's no judgment, so
no.
You're really good with those roadmaps. As long as those roadmaps are followed, then your timeline is going to be
correct.
Be correct.
Yeah, that's correct.
As far as sellers go, how do you buy a new home as far as approval goes? How do you buy a new home if you have one to sell?
Well, what I'm going to be looking at, if you have, say, a contingent offer, and there is certain equity position that's going to be in the home that you're selling, and you're going to be utilizing that on the home you're buying, we're gonna treat the approval process as if the home is sold. So we're going to see where they fall with the equity position after the sale, and run the numbers based on that criteria. Now, if there's multiple offers going into a situation and the client doesn't have to sell, then we'll look at qualifying with both homes.
Okay, and then just getting pre-approved if you have a home to sell is just as important if you don't, because just because you qualified for a home, say 5 years ago, does not necessarily mean you qualify for a home now, correct?
That is correct. The criteria, the guidelines, the rules are constantly moving. They're changing, evolving as the process goes. So it's very important to get your ducks in a row. Obviously, in a competitive market as we see now, you're going to need to have your information prepped, ready, and solid going forward with your agent, so that you can make a solid offer.
A solid offer. And then just one last question before we wrap up today's Real Estate 4-in-1. Can you explain why it is so important to get a pre-approval before you start the home shopping process? I know from a realtor standpoint, I don't want to take you out to go and view homes and then find out that, you know, we're here looking at $500,000 homes, but you really only qualify for $350,000. Because at that point, every home we look at $350,000 most likely is not going to meet your standards of the $500,000 house.
Correct. So really what I would encourage is to absolutely get the information in front of the lender. And the reason being is because there are some big misconceptions. For example, on a self-employed client. Self-employed client might take his gross earnings. Well, as we all know, when you get to an accountant, they're going to deduct all of the items, expenses, and everything out of that. So you're going to be left with a end bottom line qualifying income, which oftentimes is far less than what's in the mind of the client.
Right.
So what they perceive they can buy, in actuality, you're going to have to go and look at the actual facts of it to determine where they end up. So it's really important, and also based on hourly and salary, all those things are going to be coming into play in terms of what we actually use for qualifying income. And it's very important that you get that dialed in before you go forward.
Right. And then if somebody was wanting to fill out a credit app with you to see where they stand, how would they do that?
Oh, they can contact me, or they can go on my website. I have a website, and typically what I do is I will drive probably 95+% of my folks to my website. We'll get that credit application input. I will run all the information. I will run the scenarios. They can upload their documents right online, at which point I have a full file in front of me, run all the numbers prior to actually sitting down and going through every single option of financing that's available to them.
Okay. And if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
My cell phone is the best contact number. That's 509-539-8043.
Perfect. And then if you guys have any real estate questions, you can reach me at 509-947-2615. And on next week's episode of Real Estate 4-in-1, we're going to cover the FHA loan. So it'll be fun. So until next time, we hope you guys have a great week. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, or you can drop them in the comments.